JB Cycles with an update on May the 21st. Here I have my 4-week cycle in black, and last week I said we could expect a pop-up soon with this bullish phase of the cycle, and the pop came a bit early, and as we see, the cycle is bullish this coming week into around May the 25th. So there's still room for more pop to the upside here, and then it turns down into around mid-June, or second half of June. So there could be more upside and then some downside. Now just a recap about my my background and some context. I'm no longer a trader, and I'm doing this just for fun. And it was around 2021 that the market caught my interest. I saw the market behavior and the euphoria around it, and I got some flashbacks going back to the year 2000 and 2007, and I had the feeling there's a hard landing coming. And as you see, my 7-year cycle here in red was topping out in 2021 and really turning down early 2022, and that was the point where I started my videos. Also, I said the easy part of the bear market ended around October 2022. That's the crash phase of the 7-year cycle, and although the cycle goes down into this summer, the historical bear markets, sometimes they end at this crash phase, sometimes they go a little bit further or even go all the way. So after this crash phase, we have not seen any more bear market, and we are starting to see many signals that flash a new bull market, like here where we have broken out of the 40-week offset, and we could could be breaking down through this offset now, but we have to go very steep down to stay below. Soon we could really break out here. So it doesn't look that bearish, but I still do have some scenarios pointing to the downside, because I'm really not satisfied by this bear market. It did not get as bad as I was expecting. So let's have a look at some cycles. Let's see. Here I have a composite of these long-term cycles, and the composite is going quite steeply down the coming month, but we see the market is holding up well. So I'm expecting some kind of a move down the coming 4 or 5 weeks, and then I may become very bullish from that point on. And with all the signals of a new bull market, and if this can't crash down, it's looking more and more like a bull market. But I do have some scenarios suggesting that may fail, and then we get the capitulation into around October. I showed this 237 week cycle. That one does not have a low around October. It favors a low around end of June, and then we rally. So I have drawn these scenarios, some kind of move down soon, maybe finding support at this offset, and then we rally. Unless we don't rally, it fails, and then we crash. But that's not my primary scenario. So I've been looking at lately 3 different cycles of 16, 17 weeks, the quarterly cycle and the 10-week cycle, and they have not worked that well lately, and it looks like it's I find it a bit boring, the quarterly cycle or the earnings cycle. So the earnings cycle is going down into end of June, and there may be a bigger half-year cycle pointing to a low around October. So again, possible low around October. But we do not see bearish action here. If you go back one offset, we are stretching it past the previous top. Going back 2 offsets, we see we are coming approaching the top of that cycle, going back 3 offsets. We are right at the point where it turned down, so we do have to see some kind of downside materializing soon here. Should see something. If we look at the composite of these 3 cycles, it's not been working that well since New Year. You know, here the market top and the cycle top, they are not in sync. Here we had some upside into this point, and then the cycles turned down, but market went sideways. Now we see the composite went up, and the market did go up a bit, and now the composite goes down into end of June. So some kind of move down. And then the first critical phase, can we have a breakout rally going up into August, or does it fail and we get the capitulation down? We have the calendar variation, the seasonal variation. It has a top around early June, and again we have these scenarios. Soon there should be some kind of down move, then perhaps the breakout rally, unless it fails and it capitulates down just like the seasonal variation. And I do very short term, I could see us, you know, have some kind of a pullback this week, but then we have the final high before we have some kind of a low end of June. So my 4-week cycle, you know, it still favors upside for 1 week or perhaps 10 calendar days or so. So let's have a look at the hourly data. Here is Dow Jones Industrial, and we are at this point, and this looks like a selling setup. I'm looking at this purple wavelet. It looks like a sell setup, but if so, we should see some kind of a breakdown very early the coming week, materializing this sell setup, and then we could see a shoulder and then continuation to the downside. However, as I showed, the seasonal variation and the 4-week cycle both suggest perhaps some more upside into end of May. If so, we could see some kind of pop-up early in the week and consolidation, making this wavelet going back up again and not giving us any down or tradable downswing. And then we have the final pop-up, making the top of the seasonal variation and the 4-week cycle, and then we go down to the low end of June, just as many cycles are suggesting. But if we don't really crash down at that point, then we could have the breakout rally. We see we have this trend line that could be support in this end of June low, but if we break below it, that could be interesting. Also, I could point at this green 40-week cycle, and you can also see a 20-week cycle within it. And I have marked these 20-week cycle lows. You know, not all of them are, you know, this one, it may be here or it could be here. Both can be accepted. And this cycle, it's not that regular. It's not a very good cycle, but it is suggesting a low around October or into September, but it could be as early as early July. If you go back, you see we made a low here. This was a very late low. This was an early low. This was quite spot on. So you see, there's an interval here. You know, the cycle, it could be anywhere here. This 40-week cycle low and 20-week cycle low. So yeah, could be more upside very short term. Should be some kind of a low end of June, and then we may have the breakout rally, but it may fail and we capitulate into October. But from that point on, October, it definitely should be over. Unless we really crash down, we could stretch into January. So, see you!